The rain hammered the windows of Julia's Boston brownstone like accusations she couldn't outrun, each drop a reminder of the girl she'd buried deep inside. 20 years ago, she'd knelt in a dimly lit church basement, whispering prayers to a God who promised cures for sins like hers, emerging with a wedding ring and a hollow smile that fooled everyone but her. Now, at 38, as her phone buzzed with Emma's frantic text, "Mom knows. I'm done pretending. Call me." The walls Julia had built around her heart cracked wide open, flooding her with the scent of stolen kisses and the ache of a love she'd branded as poison. She stared at the screen, heart slamming against her ribs like a caged bird desperate for flight. Emma, her little sister, the one she'd shielded from the world's sharp edges, had just shattered the family facade Julia had spent a lifetime perfecting. How could she? After all Julia had sacrificed, marrying Tom, birthing 2 kids, climbing the corporate ladder in a man's world, to prove she was fixed, normal, worthy. The irony twisted like a knife. Emma, at 25, bold and unscarred, choosing truth while Julia rotted in her own lie. She dropped the phone, sinking to the kitchen floor amid scattered Legos from her son's latest tower, and for the first time in years, let the sobs come raw and unrelenting. Tom found her there, his broad shoulders filling the doorway like a safe harbor she no longer trusted. "Jules? What's wrong?" His voice was gentle, the same tone that had coaxed her into their vows on that crisp autumn day in the Berkshires. She looked up, mascara-streaked and wild-eyed, the weight of 2 decades pressing down. "It's Emma," she choked out. She's gay," she told Mom. The words hung heavy, laced with the unspoken. "And what does that make me?" Tom knelt beside her, pulling her into his arms, but his embrace felt like chains now, warm but confining. He'd always been her anchor, steady Tom with his engineering job and weekend barbecues, the man who'd never questioned her late-night tears or her aversion to intimacy beyond duty. "Hey, it's okay. Families deal with this. We'll support her." His optimism grated, a privilege of straightness she envied. Julia pulled back, wiping her face with the hem of her blouse. "You don't get it. I knew this would happen. I tried to stop it, for me." The confession slipped out, a dam breaking after years of silence. He frowned, confusion etching lines on his forehead. "Stop what?" "Jules, talk to me." But she couldn't, not yet. The memories surged like a tidal wave. Summers in their childhood home in upstate New York, where the Adirondack forests whispered secrets to sisters who shared everything, clothes, dreams, and eventually, a forbidden brush of lips behind the boathouse that tasted like summer berries and betrayal. Julia had been 16, Emma 12, innocent explorations that Julia later twisted into shame when their conservative parents dragged her to conversion therapy sessions after catching her with a neighborhood girl. "It's a phase," the counselors had said. "Pray it away." And she had, viciously, until the feelings dulled to echoes. Now, as Tom helped her to her feet, brewing chamomile tea like it could mend fractures, Julia's mind raced to the airport. She booked the first flight to Albany, leaving a note for the kids. "And Emma needs me. Back soon. Love, Mom." The plane ride was torture, clouds below mirroring the storm in her chest. What would she say? "I'm proud of you, but God, it hurts because it drags me back too?" Landing in the crisp October chill, she rented a car and drove the winding roads to their family home in Saratoga Springs, leaves ablaze in reds and golds like warnings of fires yet to come. The house loomed unchanged, a colonial relic with its wraparound porch and the swing where they'd giggled over crushes. Boys for Emma, or so Julia had lied. Mom answered the door, her silver-streaked bun impeccable, eyes red-rimmed but steely. "Julia, thank God. Your sister's a mess. Says she's in love with some woman from her art class." The word woman landed like a slap, evoking ghosts Julia had exorcised. Inside, the living room smelled of pot roast and regret, Dad nursing a scotch in his armchair, muttering about the devil's influence from his evangelical podcasts. Emma huddled on the couch, knees to chest, her once vibrant curls limp, face pale under the freckles. At 25, she was a mirror of Julia at that age. Fierce eyes, artist's hands stained with charcoal, but unbroken. "Sis," she whispered, unfolding like a flower toward sunlight. Julia crossed the room in 3 strides, enveloping her in a hug that trembled with unspoken histories. "I'm here," Julia murmured into her hair. "No matter what." But as they held each other, Julia felt the old spark ignite, not romantic but resonant, a shared pulse of defiance against the room's judgment. Dinner was a minefield, Mom's Bible verses clashing with Dad's gruff silences, Emma's quiet fire pushing back. "I can't live a lie anymore," she said, fork stabbing her peas. "Loving Riley isn't a choice, it's who I am." Julia's throat tightened. Riley, the painter with tattoos and a laugh like wind chimes from the stories Emma had shared in late-night calls. It sounded achingly familiar, like the college girlfriend Julia had ghosted to save herself. That night, Julia shared Emma's old room, the twin beds a time capsule of stuffed animals and faded posters. As moonlight slanted through lace curtains, Emma rolled over, voice soft in the dark. "You get it, don't you? More than they do." Julia's breath caught. "What do you mean?" A pause, heavy as fog. "I remember that summer. The lake house. You and Sarah. You think I forgot." The air thickened, Julia's pulse thundering. She'd convinced herself Emma had been too young, oblivious. But those wide eyes had seen everything, the tentative hand-holding, the whispered promises, the abrupt end when Julia fled to therapy. "I fixed it," Julia lied, voice cracking. "Prayers, counseling. I'm married now, happy." Emma's laugh was bittersweet. "Happy? You sound like a ghost in your own life." The words pierced, unraveling threads. Julia had knotted tight. Sleep evaded her, body humming with the proximity. Not desire but recognition, a sister seeing her naked soul. Dawn brought coffee and a walk to the lake, mist rising like steam from their breaths. "Tell me about Riley," Julia prompted, needing to shift the focus. Emma's face lit, describing the coffee shop meet-cute in Brooklyn, the way Riley's sketches captured her essence. "She's terrified too. Her family's all military, zero tolerance." Julia nodded, envy twisting with pride. How had Emma found courage where she'd faltered? Back home, tension simmered. Mom cornered Julia in the kitchen. "You won't let this spread, will you? Talk sense into her, like you did before." Before. The word unlocked a vault, Julia's own cure, the endless sessions where she'd repeated mantras until she believed them, emerging scarred but silent. "I won't abandon her," Julia said firmly, surprising herself. Mom's eyes narrowed. "And what about you? That look in your eyes." Julia fled to the porch, phone in hand, dialing Tom for sanity. "It's harder than I thought," she confessed. He soothed, but his words blurred into static as a car pulled up, Riley unannounced, with wild curls and paint-splattered jeans, bearing takeout as peace offering. One look at her, and Julia's world tilted. Riley's easy confidence, the way she touched Emma's arm, echoed the women Julia had loved and lost. Dinner that night was electric. Riley's stories disarming Dad's scowls, her hand under the table steadying Emma's. Julia watched, a voyeur to the life she denied, heart aching with what-ifs. Later, as Riley crashed on the couch, Julia and Emma debriefed in whispers. "She's amazing," Emma gushed. But Mom's plotting an intervention. Fear flickered, but so did resolve. Julia felt it stir, a dormant fire, urging her toward truth. The next day, a family meeting convened in the dining room, Bibles and tissues at the ready. Dad led, voice grave. "This isn't us, Emma. We love you, but sin is sin." Riley, invited despite protests, squeezed Emma's hand. Julia sat frozen, the script familiar from her own youth. Then Emma spoke, voice steady. If loving Riley is sin, then punish me. But don't ask me to stop. Silence crashed, then Mom's sobs. Julia's turn came, all eyes on her, the fixed daughter, the example. She opened her mouth, intending platitudes, but out tumbled the fracture. I know what it's like to hide. I did it too for years. Gasps rippled. There was Sarah in college. And before that, us that summer. Emma's eyes widened, validation dawning. Dad's face darkened. Julia, what are you saying? The room spun. She'd cracked the door, but the flood was coming. In the chaos that followed, shouts, tears, Riley shielding Emma. Julia slipped out, driving aimlessly through the turning leaves. She ended up at the lake house, boarded up but beckoning. Inside, dust motes danced in sunbeams, the boathouse visible through cracked windows. She wandered there, touching the weathered wood where initials carved hearts. J+E, a childish vow. Tears fell hot. She'd cured herself by erasing it all, but the scar remained. Her phone rang, Tom, voice edged with worry. The kids miss you.
And
Emma called. Said you dropped a bomb. Julia laughed hollowly. I think I did. He paused. Come home, Jules. We can figure this out. But home felt adrift now. That night, back at the house, Riley pulled her aside. Emma idolizes you. Whatever you're fighting, it's okay to lose. Riley's empathy, unguarded, stirred something long dormant, a pull toward authenticity, toward women who saw her fully. As days blurred, Julia helped Emma pack for a temporary escape to Riley's Brooklyn apartment, Mom's pleas ignored. Stay, Julia urged her sister. Fight from here. But Emma shook her head. I need space to breathe. You should too. The goodbye hug lingered, charged with futures unwritten. Julia flew back to Boston, the skyline a glittering distraction from inner turmoil. Landing in her routine, school runs, board meetings, Tom's patient smiles, felt like donning a too tight skin. At a PDA event, she met Lena, the new art teacher, a woman in her mid-30s with cropped black hair, olive skin, and eyes like smoked quartz that seemed to pierce pretenses. Their chat over wine started innocuous, parenting woes, city life, but Lena's laugh, low and inviting, uncoiled something in Julia. You look like you're carrying the world, Lena said. Julia flushed. Just family drama. Weeks passed in stolen coffees, Lena's studio a haven of canvases and clay. Julia confessed fragments, Emma's coming out, her own buried past. Lena listened without judgment, sharing her own journey. Out since college, now single after a messy divorce from a man she'd married to appease her immigrant parents. I get the cure myth, Lena said one evening, hands dusted in terracotta. Tried it once. Woke up emptier. Their fingers brushed passing a mug, electricity arcing, and Julia pulled away, heart racing. Guilt gnawed. Tom sensed the shift, their bed a chasm. You're distant, he said over dinner, kids chattering obliviously. Is it Emma? Julia nodded, half-truth. But dreams haunted her now, Lena's touch, Emma's freedom, blurring into feverish nights. A call from Mom shattered the fragile peace. Your father's had a heart scare. Blames the stress. Your confession. Julia's stomach dropped. She booked a flight, Lena's text, safe travels. Thinking of you. A lifeline she clutched. In the hospital, Dad lay pale, monitors beeping recriminations. Mom hovered, whispering prayers. Emma arrived with Riley, tension thick. This isn't on us, Emma hissed. Dad's eyes met Julia's, weak but piercing. Why'd you say it, girl? Stirring old pots. Julia knelt by the bed, voice steady. Because it's true, Dad. I can't lie anymore for Emma or me. His hand trembled in hers. We just wanted you safe. The admission hung, a bridge forming from ruins. Recovery brought uneasy truces, family dinners where Dad asked halting questions about Riley's art, Mom quoting affirming verses she'd unearthed online. Julia shuttled between worlds, Boston's pull weakening. Back home, she confronted Tom in their sunlit kitchen. "I need to be honest," she began, words tumbling, the therapy, the denial, the reawakening with Lena. Tom's face crumpled. Not anger but sorrow. "I knew parts. Loved you anyway." They cried, deciding separation. Amicable, for the kids, for truth. Freed, Julia dove into Lena's world, their first real date a picnic in the common, autumn leaves carpeting the grass like confetti. Laughter flowed easy, stories weaving souls. As dusk fell, Lena leaned in, lips soft against Julia's, tasting of possibility. Fireworks burst, not shame, but joy. "I've waited 40 years for this," Julia whispered. Lena smiled. "Worth every second." Christmas brought reconciliation. Saratoga springs dusted in snow. The family gathered minus grudges. Emma and Riley announced an engagement, rings glinting like promises. Dad raised a toast, voice gruff. To love that heals, not hides. Julia, arm linked with Lena's, felt the circle complete, sisters side by side, truths embraced. In the quiet after, watching Emma dance with Riley, Julia knew. Denial had been her cage, but love was the key, unlocking a life vibrant and whole. Yet peace was fleeting. Shadows lingered. Months later, a letter arrived from an old therapist, enclosing a success story pamphlet that twisted Julia's gut. She burned it in the sink, flames devouring lies. Lena held her through the tremor. "We're past that," she murmured. And they were volunteering at youth centers, sharing stories that freed others, weaving a tapestry of resilience. One spring evening, back at the lake house, now theirs, renovated with Emma's murals, Julia stood with Lena on the porch, watching fireflies dance. "I almost lost this," she said, hand on her swelling belly, their IVF miracle. Lena kissed her temple. "But you found us." Emma arrived then, toddler on hip, Riley trailing with wine. Sisters reunited, laughter echoing over water, the past a gentle wave, not a storm. In that moment, Julia understood. Coming out wasn't an end, but a beginning. Raw, terrifying, redemptive. She'd cured nothing but her silence, emerging not fixed, but finally free. And in the arms of love, familial, romantic, chosen, she faced the truth. It had always been enough. Julia's return to Boston was a descent into normalcy that felt anything but. The brownstone, with its polished hardwood and framed family photos, mocked her from every corner, smiling facades hiding the fault lines she'd exposed. She moved through days on autopilot, dropping Liam and Sophie at school, enduring client calls at her marketing firm, evenings with Tom where conversations skirted the edges of their unraveling. "We should see a counselor," he suggested one night, fork pausing over lasagna. Julia nodded, but her mind wandered to Saratoga, to Emma's unapologetic glow, to the way Riley's presence had softened even Dad's edges. The first session was in a beige office downtown, the therapist a soft-spoken woman named Dr. Hale with wire-rimmed glasses and a nod that invited unraveling. "Tell me about the trigger," she prompted. Julia stared at her hands, knuckles white. "My sister coming out."
It
unearthed things. Tom shifted beside her, supportive yet distant. Words spilled then, halting at first, then torrent. The lake house kiss, the therapy camps where shame was scripture, the marriage as penance. Tom's jaw tightened, not at her, but at the years stolen. "I wish you'd trusted me sooner," he said later, over coffee in the waiting room. Julia touched his hand. "I was scared of losing you." He smiled sadly. "You almost did, by keeping it in." Emma called that week, voice buoyant. "Riley and I are house hunting in the Hudson Valley. Something with a studio for her, space for us." Julia's heart swelled, envy mingling with joy. "Sounds perfect. Send pics." Photos flooded in, Victorian farmhouses with wraparound porches, wild gardens begging for Emma's touch. "Come visit," Emma urged. "Bring the kids. They'd love the goats next door." Julia hesitated, glancing at Tom's calendar. "Soon," she promised, but doubt crept. How to bridge her worlds without shattering them? Lena entered like a breeze through cracked windows, their PDA chat evolving into a school art fair collaboration. Julia volunteered to man the booth, surrounded by finger-painted masterpieces, Lena's energy a magnet. "You're a natural with these tiny critics," Lena teased, as Sophie proudly displayed her lopsided rainbow. Julia laughed, the sound foreign yet freeing. Later, over falafel at a corner spot, Lena's questions probed gently. "What do you do when the world's too loud?" Julia paused, falafel midway. "Hide in books. Or walks at midnight." Lena's eyes sparkled. "I'm more of a dance in the rain type." That image stuck, manifesting on a drizzly Saturday when Julia, restless, texted Lena impulsively. "Coffee?" They met at a cafe overlooking the Charles River, umbrellas bobbing like boats. Conversation flowed. Lena's Greek heritage, her move from Chicago after coming out to skeptical aunts, Julia's buried poetry from college days. As rain pattered, Lena reached across, thumb brushing Julia's wrist. "You having stains?" "Artist." Julia flushed. "Old habit. Stopped when life got complicated." Lena's gaze held. Complicated can be beautiful. Guilt shadowed the spark. That night, Julia lay awake beside Tom, his snores steady, her body alive with unfamiliar hum. She slipped out, pacing the kitchen, phone glowing with a news alert. Conversion therapy banned in more states. Survivors speak out. The article featured a woman, mid-40s, tear-streaked. "I lost decades to lies. My advice? Start now." Julia's fingers trembled. She forwarded it to Emma, who replied instantly, "Proud of you for reading this. Love you." Spring thawed Boston's grip, cherry blossoms unfurling like hesitant confessions. Julia and Tom attended a second session alone, Dr. Hale facilitating the untangling. "Resentment festers in silence," she said. Tom admitted his fears, of custody battles, of loving Julia from afar. "But I want you happy, even if it's not with me." Tears came, cathartic, as they sketched a separation plan, joint custody, the brownstone sold, new starts. "Friends first?" Tom asked, tentative. Julia nodded, hugging him fiercely. "Always." Emboldened, she accepted Lena's invite to a gallery opening, abstracts in bold strokes, wine flowing. Dressed in a simple black dress that hugged her curves, Julia felt exposed, alive. Lena, in emerald silk, turned heads, but her eyes sought Julia's across the room. They wandered the exhibits, fingers grazing. "This one," Lena said, pointing to a swirl of blues and golds, "feels like longing held back." Julia's breath hitched. "Yeah, exactly." Outside, under streetlights, the kiss happened, soft, exploratory, Lena's hand cupping Julia's neck. Time suspended, the world narrowing to lips and heartbeat. Julia pulled back, dazed. I'm married." Separating, but Lena silenced her with a finger. "One step at a time. No pressure." But pressure built, delicious and terrifying, as texts became daily rituals. Good mornings, shared memes, late-night vents about exes and dreams. Emma's visits sealed the shift. She arrived with Riley, suitcases bursting with Hudson Valley apples, the kids shrieking delight. Over pizza in the living room, stories tumbled. Riley's latest commission, a mural for a queer youth center. "You should contribute," Riley said to Julia. "Your words, poetic." Julia demurred, but Emma pressed. "Remember your journals? The ones you burned." The mention stung, but sparked resolve. That night, after tucking in the kids, Julia unearthed a hidden box, faded notebooks from her cured era, verses aching with unspoken love. She read one aloud to Emma on the porch, voice quivering. "In the shadow of Schutz, your light slips through cracks, a forbidden bloom." Emma teared up. That's you, sis. Don't bury it again. Inspired, Julia emailed a poem to Lena anonymously, heart-pounding. The reply came swift. Whoever wrote this gets me. Coffee tomorrow? Julia smiled, typing back. It's me. Yes. As summer loomed, Julia filed papers, the legal untethering bittersweet. Tom moved to a nearby apartment, weekends with the kids a rhythm they honed. Lena became anchor. Picnics where Sophie sketched beside her, Liam's shy questions about mom's friend, met with gentle truths. Love comes in colors, Lena explained, crayons in hand. Julia watched, chest full, the denial's ghost fading. But echoes persisted. A work conference in Chicago unearthed a former Cure survivor group. Julia attended a panel, voice shaking as she shared her story. Applause thundered, validation washing over. Back in Boston, she confessed to Lena over gelato. I was afraid you'd see the broken parts. Lena licked her spoon, eyes fierce. Broken? Your mosaic, beautiful in pieces. Their first overnight was tentative. Lena's loft, city lights twinkling, bodies exploring with reverence. Julia woke tangled in sheets and arms, dawn painting Lena's skin gold. This is real, she whispered. Lena kissed her forehead. Real as us. Yet family fractures lingered. Mom called, voice strained. Dad's joining a support group for parents of. You know. Julia's hackles rose. Good. Tell him Emma's thriving. The line crackled with unspoken pleas. Hanging up, Julia drove to the lake, solo this time, diving into waters that once drowned her secrets. Emerging, she vowed, no more hiding. Fall brought harvest. Emma's housewarming, a ramshackle Victorian alive with friends, fairy lights, and fiddle music. Julia arrived with Lena, hands clasped. Dad, slower but present, clapped Riley's back. Nice work on that barn door. Progress, inch by inch. As night deepened, Julia and Emma slipped away to the garden. Stars overhead. You did it, Emma said. Face the truth. Julia squeezed her hand. We both did. Sisters forever. In that circle of light, Julia felt the story's arc bend toward grace, not perfection, but presence, love's quiet revolution. The Hudson Valley housewarming lingered in Julia's veins like fine wine, a heady mix of laughter and liberation that carried her through Boston's crisp September. But reality reasserted itself on Monday, emails piling like autumn leaves, the firm's biggest client demanding revisions on a campaign Julia had half-hearted. She powered through, fueled by a new ritual. Morning runs along the Esplanade, Lena's playlist, indie folk with soaring choruses, pushing her strides. You're glowing, a colleague noted over lunch. Julia smiled inwardly. It was more than endorphins. It was emergence, shedding skin she'd outgrown. Lena's loft became sanctuary, a sun-drenched space cluttered with half-finished sculptures and books on every surface. Their evenings unfolded lazy, cooking paella from Lena's Nana's recipe, debating art theory until wine loosened tongues. One night, as rain lashed windows, Lena traced Julia's collarbone with clay-dusted fingers. Tell me a secret, she murmured. Julia hesitated then. I used to dream of Paris. Us, I mean, women like us, free in Montmartre. Lena's eyes danced. Let's make it real. Spring. The invitation thrilled, but tendrils of doubt snaked in. Tom's apartment was settling. He dated casually, a nurse from his gym, their co-parenting seamless, yet shadowed by what-ifs. You seem happy, he observed during a park handoff, Sophie clinging to his leg. Julia nodded. I am. You? He shrugged, boyish. Getting there. The civility soothed, but Julia caught herself scanning his face for regret, a habit of guilt. Emma texted sporadically. Murals done. Your poem inspired the center. Photos showed vibrant walls, queer icons in bold lines. Pride swelled, but so did worry, a follow-up. Mom's visiting. Pray for us. Julia called immediately. How bad? Emma sighed. She's trying, brought gluten-free scones, asked about your friend Lena. But Dad's still quoting Leviticus. Julia's jaw clenched. Want backup?
Nah.
We've got this. Love you for offering. Dr. Hale's sessions shifted solo now, Julia unpacking the cure's debris. It wasn't healing, she said one afternoon, tissues twisting in her lap. It was amputation, parts of me hacked away. Dr. Hale leaned forward. And reclaiming them? Julia exhaled. Terrifying. Exhilarating. Homework. Journal daily, no censoring. Pages filled with fragments. Odes to Lena's laugh. Elegies for lost youth. Letters to 16-year-old self. You were brave, not broken. Halloween brought whimsy. The kids as pirates, Lena joining the trick-or-treat brigade in which hat and cape. Liam, 8 and observant, tugged Julia's sleeve amid costumed chaos. Is Lena your girlfriend like Riley is Aunt Emma's? The question, innocent, pierced. Julia knelt, meeting his eyes. Yes, buddy. She makes me happy. He grinned, gap-toothed.
Cool.
Can she do magic tricks? Laughter bubbled, easing the knot. Sophie, 6, added. I like her cookies. Simple acceptances, profound as psalms. But storms brewed familial. Mom arrived unannounced at the airport, bag in hand, eyes wary. Needed a break from your father. Julia hosted the brownstone for now, hers alone. Over tea, Mom probed. This Lena. Serious? Julia steadied. Very. Mom fiddled with her cup. I read a book about acceptance. For Emma's sake. The olive branch trembled. Julia grasped it. Thank you. Means everything. They toured the city, Freedom Trail, where history's rebels whispered parallels. Mom softened at the Holocaust Memorial, tears for hidden pains. Back home, she met Lena over dinner, awkward but earnest. You make her smile, Mom said, patting Lena's hand. That's enough. As she departed, hugging Julia tight. I'm learning. Slowly. Victory, small but seismic. November's chill deepened emotions. Julia submitted her first poem to a local lit mag, echoes unprayed, heart in throat. Acceptance came swift, a reading scheduled at a cozy venue in Cambridge. Lena beamed. My poet. The night buzzed friends from work, Tom with the kids in front row, Emma FaceTiming cheers. Julia stepped to the mic, voice steady. In the Church of Schutz, I genuflected to ghosts, but love. Unrepentant, rose like dawn through stained glass. Applause roared. Afterward, Tom hugged her. Proud of you, Jules. Lena's gift waited in the car. Tickets to Paris, February. Our dream, she said, kissing Julia under street lamps. The promise ignited plans, sane walks, Louvre whispers. But December loomed holidays, a minefield of traditions. Julia hosted neutral ground, turkey and tofurkey, carols laced with queer anthems. Dad arrived with Mom, grayer but game, gifting Lena a family recipe book. For the heart, he grunted. Emma and Riley brought pie, their engagement ring catching lights. Your log crackled as stories circled. Liam's school play, Sophie's ballet dreams, Riley's gallery show. Julia caught Dad's eye across the table. He nodded, subtle. Later, washing dishes, he murmured, Your words tonight. On the phone, Emma read that poem. Hit home. Julia teared. Healing takes time. He clapped her shoulder. Worth it. New Year's dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered. More truth, less fear. Julia and Lena rang in at a queer dance hall, bodies swaying to pulsing beats, confetti like liberated stars. To us, Lena toasted at midnight. Julia pulled her close. To all of us. Yet undercurrent stirred. A work rival unearthed Julia's past, whispering to HR about instability. Confrontation came swift. Julia stood firm. My life enriches my work, doesn't diminish it. Backing from the firm, the whisper sidelined. Empowerment surged. Winter deepened, Paris beckoning. Packing, Julia found an old photo. Her and Emma, teens at the lake, arms linked, sun-kissed and secret. She framed it, placing beside her bed. Lena noticed. Beautiful. Julia smiled. Us. The flight lifted burdens, landing in Orly, Eiffel Tower winking welcome. They wandered Montmartre, Sacré-Cœur overlooking a city of lovers. Café au lait, crepes sweet as kisses. One evening, on a Seine bridge, Lena knelt, not proposal, but vow. Wherever life bends, I'm yours. Julia, tears freezing on cheeks, whispered. And I yours. Back in Boston, snow-blanketed renewal. Emma announced pregnancy. IVF triumph. And Julia duties? Julia laughed. First in line. Family texts buzzed. Celebrations no qualifiers. Spring equinox brought Julia's book deal. Poems compiled. Unchained echoes. Launch parties swelled with souls. Tom toasting bravery. Kids reciting lines, Mom beaming. Dad, in corner, approached last. Read it cover to cover. Sorry, kiddo, for the years. Forgiveness flowed unforced. As petals fell, Julia walked with Lena, hand in hers, future unfolding. The truth she denied? Not curse, but compass, guiding to love's boundless shore. Paris's afterglow faded into Boston's budding greens, but Julia carried its warmth like a talisman against encroaching doubts. The book deal thrust her into spotlight she'd shunned, interviews with local papers, a podcast on queer voices in midlife. Each airing peeled layers, vulnerability met with messages. Your story saved me. One from a young woman. Considering therapy because of you. Thank you. Julia wept reading it, Lena holding space. Work balanced precariously, promotions dangled, but so did scrutiny. A new boss, conservative veneer cracking under microaggressions, scheduled a chat. Heard about your personal journey, he said, eyes averted. Julia's spine straightened. It's public. Enhances my perspective on diverse campaigns. He backpedaled, but the chill lingered. Lena urged, document it. You're not alone. Allies emerged, queer colleagues forming a network, lunches turning strategy sessions. Home front steadied. Tom's relationship bloomed with a nurse, Sarah. Irony not lost. Weekends co-parenting seamless. The kids adapted. Sophie drawing, 2 moms, 2 dads, family trees. Liam quizzing Lena on sculpture techniques. Can I make a dragon? He'd ask, clay flying. Julia marveled at resilience. Her own once crushed now mirrored in theirs. Emma's pregnancy progressed. Ultrasounds shared in group chats. It's a girl, she announced, Riley's voice whooping background. Julia flew up for the baby shower, a garden affair under apple blossoms. Mom orchestrated, decorations pastel and proud. Welcome, little muse. Dad manned the grill, flipping veggie burgers with surprising flair. Learned from YouTube, he admitted sheepishly. Toast circled. Riley's to growing our rainbow, Mom's halting. To family redefined. But undercurrents swirled. During cake, Mom pulled Julia aside. Your father's seeing a therapist. For us. Revelation hit. The stoic man, cracking open. Julia hugged her. He's braver than he knows. Emma, glowing, confided later. Scans are good, but anxiety's real. What if the world's not ready for her? Julia cupped her face. Then we'll armor her with love, like you did me. Return brought momentum. Julia's launch loomed, advance copies arriving like newborn promises. She inscribed one for Emma. To my muse, who unchained us both. Readings packed houses, Q&As delving deep. A heckler at one, fringe evangelical, Bible in hand, shouted. Repent. Security escorted, but tremors followed. Lena soothed that night. Bath drawn, salts dissolving salt. Haters are echoes of your past. You're the voice now. Summer solstice marked turning. Joint custody formalized. Brownstone sold. Julia and Lena house hunting in Jamaica Plain. Victorian with a studio wing, garden for Liam's fort. Offer accepted, moving day chaos joyful. Boxes labeled books of freedom, kids directing traffic. Tom helped lift couches, sharing a beer on stoop after. New chapter, he said. Julia clinked. Ours intertwined. Emma's birth came swifter than planned. August heatwave. Julia en route when labor hit. She arrived as little Aria wailed entrance, Riley tear-streaked, Emma exhausted radiant. Meet your niece, Emma breathed, placing the bundle in Julia's arms. Tiny fists, downy hair. Aria's eyes, blue like Emma's, staring wise. She's perfect, Julia whispered, kissing her forehead. Family filtered in, parents cooing, dad's gruff, strong grip, mom's snapping photos. Back in Boston, Aria's a rival-infused days. Video calls daily, Julia reading Goodnight Moon to screen. Inspiration struck. Lullaby poems for the collection sequel. Lena sculpted a cradle moon, gift shipped north. For dreamers, note read. Fall's palette mirrored transitions. Julia's book climbed indie lists, tour date stacking, NYC, Chicago, even Saratoga. Homecoming reading at the local library drew crowds. Neighbors, old classmates, a gasp when she dedicated to Emma my mirror. Post-event, a woman approached, mid-40s, familiar eyes. Sarah. Julia breathed. College love, the ghost. Heard your reading. Came from Philly. Awkward hug, then coffee catch-up. Sarah, out and partnered shared. I never stopped wondering what if. Julia smiled sadly. Me too. But this, Lena, my life, it's right. Healing rippled. Dad's emails arrived. Halting, handwritten scans. Read your book. Stirred memories. Proud. Julia replied volumes, attachments of kids' art. Mom joined a PFLAG chapter, forwarding links. Thought this might interest. Progress, patchwork. Thanksgiving gathered all. Expanded table in the new house. Leaves groaning under turkey. Spanakopita. Aria gurgling high chair. Toasts evolved, dads. To truths that bind. Laughter crested as stories overlapped. Sophie's school crush, boy. Band kid. Liam's robot obsession. Under table, Lena's foot nudged Julia's anchor. December's hush brought introspection. Julia volunteered at the youth center, mentoring writers. A teen, 16 like her younger self, shared verses of confusion. It gets better? Julia hugged her. It gets you fully. Impact echoed, purpose solidifying. New Year's Eve, fire pit in backyard, stars pricking velvet sky. Family remote joined, Emma cradling Aria, Riley strumming guitar. Tom brought champagne, kids fizzing with mocktails. As countdown chimed, Lena pulled Julia close. Resolutions. Julia pondered. More us. Less fear. Kiss sealed, cheers rising. Yet winter's end whispered tests. Work's boss circled back. Performance review, laced with bias. Julia documented, consulted HR, resolution, his resignation, or promotion. Vindication sweet, but wearying. Lena planned escape. Weekend cabin in Berkshires, snowshoeing and stews. There, amid pines, they carved intentions into bark, grow, love, thrive. Nights tangled, mornings coffee steeped. You're my Paris every day, Julia said. Lena grinned. And you're my muse. Spring equinox, 2 years post Emma's out. Julia reflected. Denial's cage rusted, love's key turned. Aria's first laugh via video, pure joy. The truth faced? A garden blooming wild and true. The promotion crowned Julia's ascent, corner office with harbor views symbolizing vistas claimed. But heights bred vertigo, imposter syndrome whispered amid accolades. Lena grounded her. You've earned this, fought for it. They celebrated with rooftop dinner, city sprawl at feet, champagne bubbling like suppressed giggles. Below, ferries cut wakes, mirroring Julia's path, turbulent, directed. Emma's world bloomed parallel. Aria toddling, Riley's solo exhibit in Albany drawing raves. Come opening, Emma urged. Julia did, train ride meditative, notebook filling with observations, fields greening, heart expanding. Gallery hummed, abstracts evoking emotions flux. Riley flushed amid admirers. Aria, in Emma's arms, reached for a canvas, babbling critique. Dad, suit crisp, bought a piece. For the den. Mom networked with artists, PFLAG pin gleaming. Julia cornered Emma post-toast. How's motherhood mesh with us? Emma winked. Enhances it. Aria's got two moms who kiss like in fairy tales. Inspiration struck return. Julia pitched a workshop series, Writing Your Truth, to the firm Diversity Initiative tie-in. Uptake swift, sessions packed with colleagues unburdening. One, a quiet accountant, confessed, "Your book, it's why I'm coming out." Julia teared. Honor to witness. Home pulsed rhythm, kids' schedules symphony, ballet, robotics, Lena coaching Sophie's clay class. Tom integrated, family barbecues blending households. His Sarah joined, easy rapport forming. Blended's the new normal. Tom quipped over ribs. Julia agreed, gratefulness deepening. Summer solstice retreat, family camping Adirondacks, tents pitched near childhood lake. Ghosts benevolent now. Boathouse restored, initials faded but fond. Kids splashed, Aria splashing glee. Evening fire, Esmore's sticky, stories circled. Dad recounting, tough love, regrets. Mom sharing journal entries from her awakening. Emma and Julia, side by side, exchanged glances, survivors, sages. But ripples disturbed. A podcast invite dredged past, survivor stories, conversion therapy edition. Julia accepted, mic trembling. Host probed, regrets? Voice steady. Only not sooner. It stole joy, but birthed empathy. Airing viral, backlash brewed, trolls spewing vitriol online. Lena moderated blocks, friends rallied. Noise, she said, unplugging router for board games night. Laughter drowned static. Fall's harvest yielded fruits. Workshop expanded citywide. Julia keynoting at a lit fest. Panel with Sarah, serendipitous dialogue healing. We both ran, Sarah said. But look, landed soft. Post-panel, hug lingering platonic, closure sweet. Thanksgiving redux. Areas for solids, mess hilarious. Dad carved turkey, quipping, pass the grace. Laughter boomed. Post-feast walk, Julia and Mom trailed. Therapy's gift, Mom said. Seeing you free. Envy that. Julia linked arms. It's never late. December's hush birth creation. Julia's second manuscript blooms from ashes, weaving family threads. Beta readers, Emma Chief, raved. Raw, redemptive. Lena illustrated cover. Intertwined roots flowering. New Year's dawned collaborative, co-writing resolutions with kids. Sophie's, draw more rainbows. Liam's build robot ant. Areas via Emma, gigalots. Adults vowed, adventure, authenticity. Winter waned, Paris anniversary. Return with kids, magic amplified. Eiffel lit, crepes devoured, Liam sketching towers. Sophie declared, Lena's my Paris mom. Heartful, Julia whispered to Lena, ours forever. Spring's thaw mirrored thaw within. Emma's update. Aria said, Aunt Julie, melts me. Video call confirmed, tiny voice tugging strings. Julia's keynote at Youth Center, teens wrapped, one approaching post. Your sister's story and yours gives hope. Circle complete. Yet growth's edge sharpened. For merger loomed, old bosses ally sniffing. Julia anticipated, allies armed outcome, her leading diversity team. Triumph tasted layered, hard won. Solstice Eve, backyard ritual, intentions burned, ashes to soil. Lena's hand in hers. From denial to this. Julia nodded. Truth's face? A mirror reflecting multitudes, Loved, loving, alive. The diversity lead role thrust Julia into boardrooms once alien, her voice now shaping narratives beyond campaigns. Strategies brewed. Inclusive ads, queer-led focus groups. Pushback surfaced, budget hawks grumbling niche, but data silenced. Broader reach, loyalty spikes. Lena toasted at homecoming dinner. My activist. Julia blushed, kids clanging forks approval. Emma's life paralleled ascent. Riley's mural commission for a NYC nonprofit. Aria's first steps videoed triumphant. Come for her birthday, Emma insisted. Julia planned weekend, but fate intervened. Firm crisis, client meltdown. Apologies flew. Emma understood. Duty calls. Next time. Guilt nipped, balanced by daily check-ins. Aria's waves via screen. Personal tides turned. Manuscript edits marathon. Agent buzzing expansions. Bloom's slated fall release. Tour ambitious. Dr. Hale sessions tapered. Check-ins quarterly. Integration, she termed. Julia agreed, wholeness settling like dust. Summer scorched. Family getaway Cape Cod. Rented cottage. Waves crashing lullabies. Tom and Sarah joined. Blended ease evident. Beach volleyball. Sunset clambakes. Liam unearthed fossils. Sophie built sand unicorns. Aria toddled sands. Emma capturing. Legacy in footprints. Evenings, adults debriefed. Tom's promotion. Sarah's nurse tales. Lena's grant for community art. Julia marveled. Once fractured, now mosaic. But undercurrents churned. Online, ex-therapists' op-ed decried gay propaganda, citing cases like yours. Sting sharp, Julia drafted response, measured, fierce. Published in Counterpiece. My cure was curse. Truth liberates. Ripples, supporter surges, detractor snarls. Lena anchored. Your light dims none. Fall's frenzy. Book 2 launch. Readings chaining coasts. Saratoga stop intimate. Library packed. Aria on Emma's lap cooing. Dad emceed. Voice steady. My daughter's words, medicine. Q&A delved. A teen asking, fear family? Julia. Faced it. Worth it. Post-signing, family dinner. Riley's lasagna. Toasts to enduring. Backlash peaked mid-tour. Protest at Chicago signing. Signs screeching abomination. Venue secured, but adrenaline crashed after. Hotel room. Lena on phone. Breathe. You're stormproof. Resilience forged in fire. Next stop stronger. Crowds protective. Homecoming healed. Halloween redux. Kids as superheroes. Lena as Wonder Woman. Party with neighbors. Tom's crew mingling. Sophie declared, Mom's a hero too for books. Pride swelled. November elections loomed. Tensions national. Julia volunteered. Phone banks for equality bills. Nights drained, but purpose pulsed. Emma mirrored. Local canvas. Baby and carrier. Aria's first march, she joked. Thanksgiving anchored. Expanded circle. Gratitude circle ritual. Dad. For second chances. Mom. For seeing clearer. Aria babbled, eliciting laughs. Post-meal, Julia and Emma escaped porch. Tour tales? Emma probed. Julia shared protest, vulnerability. You carry us, Emma said. Hug tight, sisters bond eternal. December's cozied, holiday market dates, Lena's handcrafted ornaments. Kids pageant, Sophie angel, Liam wise man, Tom filming, families cheering. Gift to parents, custom poem anthology, verses chronicling arc mom teared. Treasured. New Year's reflective, journal review, growth graft. Vow, deepen roots, therapy refresh, mentorship expand. Winter's grip softens spring ward. Emma's milestone, Aria's first word. Mama, split to both. Joy shared, tears mutual. Yet pivot loomed. Firm offered sabbatical, right full time? Tempting, terrifying. Lena encouraged, leap. Decision brewed. Equinox brought clarity, acceptance. Resignation tendered, bridge to freelance. Liberation's rush, days unstructured, words flowing. First project, Sisters Anthology, Emma illustrating Julia's prose. Collaboration electric, video calls brainstorming. Aria helping, crayons everywhere. Summer solstice, lake reunion. Full circle, boathouse picnic. Dad swam with grandkids, Mom sketched. Evening, fireside, Julia read excerpt. Sisters unchained, weave futures from threads of past. Nods, tears, applause. Truth's face, once denied, now embraced, kaleidoscope of kin, craft, courage. Sabbatical's freedom unfurled like sails, Julia's days a canvas blank and beckoning. Mornings dawned unhurried, coffee on porch swing, notebook open to whims. First draft of novel brewed, fictionalized memoir, sisters navigating denial's labyrinth. Words poured, raw as confessions, Lena reading chapters aloud evenings, her voice lending life. Emma's collaboration deepened, sketches arriving weekly, Aria's handprints, signatures. Co-author, Emma teased. Julia laughed, shipping prose packets. Their calls evolved therapy, unpacking parental dynamics, envisioning legacy for Aria, Sophie's budding queerness hints. Kids adjusted to Mom's writing cave, office nook with view of herb garden. Liam built models beside, Sophie illustrated characters. Tom praised. They're inspired. His life steadied, Sarah's ring glinting. Engagement news over brunch. Julia toasted genuine. Happiness suits you. Firm ties lingered. Consulting gigs, workshops pro bono. Network nurtured, queer writer circle forming, monthly meets, potlucks laced with lit. Fall's palette inspired, leaves crunching underruns, colors bleeding into prose. Novel query sent, agent thrilled. This sings. Buzz built, but so did vulnerability, exposing fiction's rooted real. Emma's update. Family therapy session. Dad voicing, I failed you girls. Breakthrough, collective exhale. Mom's follow. He's opening. Like you taught. Thanksgiving prelude. Pre-holiday getaway Berkshire's cabin, snow dusting pines. Blended crew. Tom's family included, cross-country skis, cocoa nights. Aria sled shrieks, Sophie spun tales. Fireside. Julia read novel snippet. Rapt silence, then applause. Publish it, Dad urged. Weight lifted. Launch frenzy. Novel Sisters shadow pre-orders climbing. Tour hybrid virtual locals in-person hubs. Chicago stop revisited Sans protest, healing layered. NYC reading. Riley hosted gallery tie-in. Aria flower girl. Backlash simmered low. Stray emails, blocked swift. Focus sharpened. Impact metrics, book club picks, school adoptions. A teen letter. Your sisters mirror mine. Coming out tomorrow. Julia replied personal, brave. Wings waiting. Winter solstice ritual. Intention lantern launch. Lake frozen witness. Families gathered. Lights floating. Hopes for peace. Pursuit, progeny. Lena's whisper. Our light brightest. January thawed revelations. Tom's wedding invite. Spring. Julia RSVP'd +1 Lena beaming. Prep double joy. Dress shopping. Sophie ring bearer. Emma's bombshell. Second pregnancy. Riley's thrilled. Boy this time? Jubilation. Planning doubled aunt duties. Novel hit lists. Interviews probing. Denial's cost? Julia. Everything until truth's profit. Podcast with ex-therapist survivor. Solidarity, shared scars. Spring's bloom. Tom's nuptials. Garden affair. Julia walked Sophie aisle, Liam with rings. Vows echoed her own unmaking. In truth, we thrive. Reception dance till dusk, toasts blending histories. Post-wedding glow, Julia's keynotes surged, colleges, conferences. One at Alma Mater. Auditorium full, former profs nodding. Q&A raw. Regret the cure? Only its theft. Reclaimed now. Summer's heatwave. Lake Escape, novel sequel sketched. Aria swam floats, new babe bump Emmas. Picnics, paddles, pass paddled away. Yet climax crested. Anonymous tip to firm alumni. Old therapy. Records leaked online. Scandal brewed. Headlines sensational. XX dark past. Calls flooded. Agents crisis mode. Friends rallying. Julia faced presser. Voice unwavering. That past was pain imposed. My present? Advocacy. Support tsunami. Celebs amplifying, sales spiking. Detractors drowned. Aftermath. Legal pursuit, records sealed. Therapy reboot. Processing rage, resilience. Lena's steadfast, unbreakable you. Fall harvest. Sequel contracted, family expanded. Emma's son, Theo, arrival tearful. Julia held him, Aria cousin giggling. Dad cradled. Redemption's arms. Truth's confrontation? Not defeat, but declaration, scarred, soaring. The leak's storm cleared to rainbows. Julia's resolve burnished brighter. Legal victories mounted. Class action against ex-therapists. Her testimony pivotal. Advocacy bloomed. Congressional testimonies, op-eds shaping bills. Sisters shadow film optioned. Indie director envisioning authentic arcs. Julia consulted script, ensuring nuance, no villains. Only humans fumbling light. Emma's Theo thrived. Family visits ritual. Upstate weekends. Nurseries blooming stories. Aria doted baby bro. Sophie braided her curls. Liam engineered toys. Grandparents doted evolved. Dad's bedtime tales now inclusive. Mom's lullabies laced affirmation. Home anchored. Jamaica plain house garden exploded. Tomatoes, zinnias, kids fort amid. Lena's studio grant-funded classes. Neighborhood youth sculpting selves. Julia guest taught writing, sparks flying, timid pens to bold pages. Tom's marriage flowered, Sarah's warmth weaving tighter. Blended holidays seamless. Fourth barbecues, Hanukkah lights mingling Christmas trees. Kids shuttled effortless, bonds bifamilial. Fall's symphony, sequel echoes eternal drafted, sisters collab cover art. Launch hybrid, global reach. Virtual reading with Emma. Tandem voices, audience wrapped. Post Q&A, fan art surged, sisters reimagined diverse. Winter's embrace gentle, solstice gathering lake house now communal, murals fresh, boathouse benches engraved truth tellers. Lanterns launched, wishes whispered, health, harmony, horizons. New Year's dawn, resolutions collective, family vision board, pins for travels, triumphs. Paris Redux planned, kids passport stamped. Spring's renewal, congressional bill passed, conversion ban nationwide. Julia at signing, pen trembling. For every silenced voice. Call from Emma, you did this. Humility hit, we did. Summer solstice zenith, lake festival, families, friends, fires. Aria danced fiddles, Theo cooed arms, Sophie recited original poem. Dad toasted. From shadows to sun, my girls. Mom added, love's longest lesson. Evening, Julia and Emma porch swinged, stars confetti. Remember the text. Emma mused. That rainy night? Julia nodded, tears pricking. Hook that hooked us free. Laughter mingled, hands clasped. Lena joined, triangle complete. Our story, Julia pondered. Ongoing, kisses, conflicts, kindness. Years blurred tapestries. Weddings, Sophie's college love, queer and kind. Liam's engineering bond. Aria, Theo's graduations, grandkids' giggles. Ages silvered. Dad's stories etched, Mom's journals published. Julia's oeuvre grew. Memoirs, mentors. Lena's sculptures public, parks proud. Octogenarian lake house, wheelchairs paths, memories mobile. Sisters, hands gnarled linked. Faced it all. Emma, worth every wave. Twilight porch, sunset gilding. Julia whispered. Truth denied no more, embraced, eternal. In love's vast sea, familial tides, romantic currents, human depths, Julia sailed, anchored free. The end? Not closure, but continuum. Heart's honest hymn, echoing infinite.